Okay, so many thanks for coming here today. Appreciate you taking time out to visit our session here, session 2 of our 3-series session, Efficiency for Business. This session focuses on the area of video collaboration and video conferencing. So just before we get the show on the road, we just wanted to let you know about our new brand identity. This is Digicom's new logo, which we've just recently released, a sort of a softer version of our older logo. The idea is that we like to see ourselves more now in the consultative space. We like to see ourselves as listening to your processes and your procedures and see where we can make things more efficient and effective for yourselves. The area of the 3 strands there represents our business, print management, video, and document management, or content management. I sometimes like to think it's an ear. It's a digital version of an ear. So basically we're here to listen. There'll be a lot of talking today, but in general we're here to listen. So this is our new website as well, which we've just recently launched. You're more than welcome to visit it, digicom.ie. And the website's broken up into the different areas of office solutions, print management, and content management. So you're more than welcome to visit that as often as you please. So in relation to logos, there are maybe some logos that we're more familiar with seeing. Google, Citrix, FaceTime, and Skype, etc., etc. So people are always asking me, like, why are you in video conferencing? Should these type of people are in that space, and most of it's for free. Well, these services complement enterprise content video conferencing. They complement high-definition video conferencing. So, and Ray will explain more from Polycom in relation to the collaboration and how these work well in a unified communication space with enterprise video. So the theme of today's discussion is how we can save you time, how we can save you money, and how we can improve your work-life balance by the use of video collaboration. It's event 2, as I've already said, of a 3-series event. We'll break this down into 4 areas. Ray will introduce shortly from Polycom, who will do a presentation on video collaboration and video communications. We'll then have a short video. We'll then have a client Q&A with an actual client of ours, Brian Donovan from ECDL. And then at the back of the room, we actually will be able to see the technology in action. Some people are a little bit apprehensive about how it works. We'll show you how the ease of use of it. We were making calls out of the hotel to destinations in the UK and Dublin. Just to mention this, and Series 3 is happening on the 15th of May. We're looking at managed document and print services, document security, and mobile printing. That's our final event in the series of 3. So this is what's been said. It's actually by Cisco, that by the end of 2014, 87% of the traffic on the worldwide global network will be video. So here to explain more, Ray is the Global Director for Enterprise Unified Communications within Polycom UK. He's actually a dub, so he's over here on a visit. And Ray will go into step 1 of our presentation now.
Cheers, thank you very much. So, thanks to Digicom for the opportunity to chat with you this morning. I'm from Dublin, but some time ago now, did manage to get lost from walking from Mespil Road to here this morning, so things have changed a little bit in the last 25 years or so, both in Dublin and in the video area there. So that traffic figure from Cisco, 87% of video traffic on the network will be video, according to Cisco. That's only because they don't really compress video as efficiently as Polycom. You know, we can get HD video into half the bandwidth of the competition. So that figure is probably exaggerated because of the prowess of Polycom on video compression. Isn't that right? That was a great opportunity there for a bit of Cisco bashing. So thanks very much, wasn't it? So who here is using video conferencing right now? Okay, and what was the motivation in using video? Was it the reducing your travel, or was there something else going on in your thinking as you looked at video? generally travel?
Travel.
Okay. And that's absolutely normal, absolutely sort of typical. What has been happening recently, though, is as people have started to enjoy the travel reduction, they've started actually looking at how video can be applied in different areas of the organisation. If there is an acquisition going on, how do you apply the culture of your organisation within the acquired organisation? How do your senior people set the tone from the top of the organisation throughout the organisation? And more people are looking at applying video to those sort of challenges, regardless of travel expense. These are some of the areas where collaboration generally has an effect on business. There are three things going on in that diagram there. One is the collaboration index. And the collaboration index is a combination of how technology is applied in the organisation to allow collaboration to take place over distance. But it's also a measure of the openness. So it's a measure of the culture of the organisation. How open is the organisation to the inclusion of various levels of people in the organisation into decisions, and then how are those people enabled to express their opinions with colleagues who aren't necessarily in the same building as them. Okay? So collaboration index is not just technology, it's a factor of it's a combination of a number of factors. The other bits in there are strategic orientation, which is a measure of how aggressive a company is chasing new opportunities in new markets, and then market orientation is a measure of the turbulence in the market. So all of these things come together to have effects on profitability and productivity and innovation, etc. But it's interesting, I think, to look at the customer satisfaction measure there. The impact of your strategy in terms of how aggressively you pursue new markets, the impact of turbulence out there in the marketplace on customer satisfaction, according to this survey, is practically zero. It's negligible. Okay? And what is very important is how predisposed you are and your colleagues are to sort of coalescing around a particular customer issue. So I'm your customer, I call you as my contact, and a couple of things can happen. You can either kind of go, I don't have the power to deal with your problem at the moment, there's a couple of other departments involved, leave it with me, I'll get back to you. If on the other hand, you have a bunch of people out there who you can check if they're available right now, you can get them into a quick video call, you can explain my problem while I'm holding on the phone, they go, it's no problem, we can do this, this, and this, and you're back to me within a couple of minutes saying, I think I have a solution, here you go. Which one of those two is going to satisfy me more? Clearly the latter, I guess. And you can see how having people who are predisposed to helping out the guy who's talking to the customer and giving them the tools with which to get around the problem quickly, share data about me, you can grab my details from a database and share them out into the video call, and all that good stuff is quite powerful. Okay? And there's a new survey that came out literally in the last week or so from Frost & Sullivan about the benefits of video. And I think it was, again, that number, 87% of people said that the primary motivation for the deployment of video in the organisation is travel reduction, but it's actually 94% are now claiming that it's a productivity gain inside the organisation. And when you do measure, if you can formulate a mechanism for measuring productivity, it very often outweighs the savings you'll get around travel. So we had an example from Heineken, who are reporting a £200,000 per year saving around travel in the UK, but it was tens of thousands of man hours lost to travel. And when you factor in the average salary of these people and you make assumptions about how productive they might be whilst traveling, because there isn't 0% productivity when you're traveling, it's reduced, but not to zero. When you factor all that in, it actually starts to not dwarf, but certainly exceed the travel reduction figure. Okay? So I hope you bear in mind that there are lots of things beyond the travel reduction that you can start factoring in to your thinking about how you might justify an investment in video. And if you ever are struggling with real data around that question, what difference does it make to training? What difference does it make to manufacturing downtime? What difference does it make to sales productivity? Ask us, because we've got a lot better over the last couple of years at helping customers quantify that, encouraging them to sort of publish that and then making that available to you. And my colleague at the back there, if you don't know, Niall Dunn, is based in Dublin and will have access to all of that stuff and access to the team of people that I'm a part of who can sort of articulate those stories for you. So if ever you need real life customer data, which is heavily quantified about the benefits of video, just ask us and we'll get it to you. Okay? So unified communications, video communications are made up of all of these different bits. It clearly has to have an audio and video component, but data sharing is really important as well. So the mechanisms by which you can push data into the conference, how you can annotate and share that, how you can co-author things is important as well. And we've done quite a bit of work in the last few years in enhancing that sort of content channel. It's not just one-to-one, it's one-to-one and one-to-many. And the largest video conference that I've come across was a Chinese financial institution which had 2,052 different locations around China in a single video conference, all powered by their sort of Polycom network infrastructure and Polycom endpoints. And I think the biggest challenge for them would be to stick all 2,051 sites on mute, so that just one person was speaking at one time. Because you imagine the chaos involved in 2,000 locations all in one conference if people don't know how to use the mute button. Really important these days as well that we get away from the suggestion that existed. When I started in video, I used to have to ring people on the network to tell them the 2 locations that I would like to have connected, the duration that I would like the connection for, and all of the different audio and video protocols that I was likely to use so they could inform the other end to configure their system in exactly the same place. I had to go to some place that had this very sophisticated video conferencing systems. So I was actually being asked to travel to a video suite in order to avoid traveling to have a meeting. Which didn't make an awful lot of sense because we had one of these things in Coventry and one in Liverpool and one in London. So you're often driving up and down motorways to have a video conference rather than driving up and down motorways to have a meeting. So these days you have to be able to get into the meeting with whatever mechanism you have in your hand at the time the meeting starts. So if it is your tablet, and Peter, who had his tablet over there, I'm sure has the Real Presence mobile application running on there. And he can show you that later. So there's a Polycom application which runs on the tablet, runs on your iPhones, runs on various Android platforms as well. I think there's 20-odd different mobile devices now that you can add a Polycom application to. If you don't have a smartphone and it's just a voice terminal, dial into the video conference as just a voice participant. It's okay. The stuff on the network will translate between the protocols that your phone uses and the protocols that the video systems use. So whatever you have in your hand when the meeting starts, that's how you join the meeting. Okay? And now you have people saying, well, actually, how do I get into this from Skype? Skype is the thing that I use most often for IMing people, launching voice calls, launching video calls. How do I use my Skype UI that I'm very familiar with to get into these business class video conferences? How do I use Facebook? Because that's how I'm starting off my interaction with people. I will message them on Facebook, and then I'd like to be able to launch a video call from there or participate in a video call from there. I'm using Google applications. How do I get from there into these business enterprise grade video conferencing? And we've been doing quite a bit of work in allowing that as the start point. Okay, so if you think about how you might like to start a video conference, and if I were to survey this room, I'm guessing that I would get a range of opinion. You know, some people will say, well, I'd like to phone somebody, and then have the phone say, would you like to add video to this voice call? And then I just press a button to say, oh yeah, that's great, I'm now in a video call. But the thing I'm most familiar with is pushing buttons on a phone, pressing the green button on my phone and launching a call, and I want video added onto that. Other people will say, well, actually the way I start my interaction is via IM, and I want to escalate from IM up into a video call. And then there's a very, very rare breed of person who would pick up a remote control, like the one we have at the back of the room there, and be able to work out how to do a video conference from that remote control. I am one of those rare breed, but only because I've been working around Polycom for the last sort of 20 years or so. But most people will use a UI that they're very familiar with. Okay, and they want to get to video from there, and that's the sort of direction of travel for Polycom now. These are all the reasons that people have given over the last year or so around organizations about why they're using video, how they're using video, and you'll notice that travel isn't mentioned strongly there. It's kind of a given these days. These are all the sort of the soft benefits that people are building into their reasoning for deploying video, their reasoning for expanding a video footprint inside an organization. Okay. And some examples. Again, Niall has some examples. You can chat with him during the breaks for customers around Ireland who are using this within the manufacturing sphere. I understand Glambia, or one of the organisations that Niall has worked with, and one of the fundamental reasons of them, travel and expense reduction, but also the management of acquisitions in the immediate sort of post-acquisition phase. Their idea was to sort of drop executives into acquired companies and then sort of have those executives liaise back to HQ using sort of video-enabled processes very frequently. Lots of examples from manufacturing and mobility, those applications that I talked about, where you can have video running on mobile devices, are really powerful in manufacturing, particularly in the area of sort of incident response. And if anybody here is involved in IT, for any sort of organization, then the response that you can display to incidents which threaten sort of downtime on IT systems. We have a number of organizations now looking at using mobility to enable a quicker response. So if you, sir, were the closest person, as advertised by the location services on your smartphone, to a particular incident in a comms room, and we could say to you via your device, can you get over there really quickly? I know you're not an IT expert, but don't worry, just turn on the video app on your smartphone and we'll have a look at what you're seeing in the comms room, and we'll advise you on what you might need to reset or do in order to fix the problem in the short term. Okay, and then we'll send somebody a little bit later to find out what the longer term fix is. One of the utility companies came through our briefing centre in London recently, and they, having played out that scenario to them, they started a program called the Hands and Eyes program, where people will be enabled with video and will become the hands and eyes of the IT group if particular incidents occur. They'll get there quickly and start the response. Okay. That avoidance of downtime is can be extraordinary as a quantifiable saving, if you like, to an organisation. So this is Statoil involved in oil exploration, and if you're looking at sort of quantifying the benefits of video, I mean that's a nice headline figure. 400 million saved in, I guess, expected costs of incidents because we were able to deal with them more quickly than we would have been otherwise. Okay? I don't know if you've ever quantified downtime for your organizations, but it can be very, very extravagant. There was a 10-minute power outage in one of the large television manufacturing factories for LG, and they costed downtime for that outage at $32,000 a second. Okay. Over sort of a 10 or 15 minute period where the power was out. That involved, taking all the systems down and bringing them back up and getting production back and running. Missed deliveries, which have contractual implications for them, etc. So shaving minutes of the response times for certain incidents can be very, very powerful for an organisation. Within finance, and I think Niall sent me some information recently on one of the Irish banks opening up a sort of different footprint, if you like, of branch, and we see that around Europe. There's another company in Turkey who have gone from opening up one after another of the 700 square meter branch with 3 or 4 people to something which is more of the order of tens of square meters, packed full of technology. And the manning of that branch, if you like, is a person who opens the door in the morning and knows how to sort of start up the technology and start video calls between the people who present themselves at that branch and experts that exist around the bank. So banks using them for lots and lots of internal communications, but also looking at sort of expanding their business. We did a pilot with one of the Scottish banks a couple of years ago, where the typical challenge, we have 1,500 branches around the UK, we have 300 mortgage advisors. The business process right now is that for our advisors to drive around and visit various branches on a schedule. So if you were to present yourself to one of the rural branches, you might be asked to come back on Thursday afternoon between 2 and 4, because the mortgage guy will be here then. And very often people said, yeah, that's fine, I'll come back on Thursday. And they never showed up, they never came back. And the thought was that they'd gone somewhere else in the town and had met somebody who could actually help them right away, and they never actually made the appointment. They video-enabled 3 branches back to their HQ in Edinburgh, and they had a call centre with mortgage advisors on tap. So whenever somebody arrived in the rural branch, they were able to speak to somebody. Quite neat bit of AV. They had a projector on the ceiling, which projected a sort of a light box on the table in front of the client, and the expert at the far end was able to model different repayment schedules, flex the interest rates, and this guy was able to see a sort of a model develop on a virtual piece of paper in front of them, and then a printer in the room that the guy in Edinburgh could actually initiate a printout of all the documents. The client went away, perused the documents, and very often signed up, and double-digit growth in the sales of those mortgage products from the 3 locations that were involved in the pilot. Within healthcare, lots of very, very good examples here, particularly telestroke. Stroke care is one of these areas where the time of response is particularly important. There's a sort of a 3-hour window in which you can make a really significant difference to the eventual outcomes for patients if you can get them the right care. So we have rural hospitals linking over video and doing some preliminary diagnostics of the type of stroke that a person is suffering via experts that are in the large hub hospitals, and literally saving lives in NHS Cumbria and NHS Lothian in the UK. And within education, lots and lots of online learning being made available from all the major universities. One of the examples within our client base is Georgetown University, who've opened up a virtual campus in the Middle East, and using the very, very high end of video conferencing land called immersive telepresence. They have 28-seater auditoriums with which they hold student interaction and student academic staff interaction. So you have what we call immersive telepresence rooms in Qatar, talking back to Washington, D.C., and millions of dollars of extra revenue for that university from that new customer base. Okay. How much time do I have, Peter?
Another 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So I just want to quickly explain what a sort of a Polycom solution looks like. So you have an idea of the sort of things that you might want to consider and the phases in which you might want to consider them. So up the top of your solution will be all of the endpoint technology, all of the software clients running on your smartphones and your tablets, applications running on your PC that you might want to have when you're working in your home office. Fancy systems like that in the middle of the back of the room there. That's a hardware dedicated video conferencing unit. Can be your PC screen, but it's got all the microphones and cameras and stuff built in around the bezel of the PC screen. That's what I use in my home office, and it's a very powerful piece of kit. For my home office, I will be presenting out to clients around the world, and I don't have to worry about what other jobs my PC might decide to do in the middle of my video conference. My IT group have a lovely habit of sort of pushing stuff to my PC at the most inappropriate time, so my PC goes off and gets busy doing other stuff, and its ability to do video can be compromised during that period. So I like having that sort of dedicated thing on my desk to do that job. And then up it goes through conference rooms where you can have more and more people, and the implication of more and more people is you need more and more microphones and more cameras, and we can sort of house all of that stuff and fit out the room with ceiling mics and ceiling loudspeakers and hide the cameras in the walls and all that good stuff. And then at the very top end you have immersive telepresence, where literally people can be fooled into thinking that they're sitting in the same space as the people who are on the screens at the far end. Okay, we designed the rooms to be identical in look and feel. The walls of the room you're sitting in are curved, the screen in front of you is curved, and it just looks like there's a sort of a continuum of wall in your room to screens on the far side. The display technology we use allows us to have little apertures in the screens effectively, so that when I'm looking at you on the screen, I'm looking at the camera, and that means that we get this sort of eye contact simulation. Okay, when the cameras are above screens, that relationship of me looking like at you and looking like I'm looking at you sort of breaks down. Okay, because the cameras are up there and the screen is down there. Okay. Within the middle, then, what Polycom has to be aware of is how Polycom fits into the new world, right? The new world where it's Cisco Unified Communication Manager as the call routing system. It's Avaya Aura as the communication system. The IM presence engine that people are using is IBM SameTime or Microsoft Link or Siemens OpenScape or something like that. So we have to exist in a world where all of these other players are delivering things onto the network and delivering things onto the desktop. And we have had to, over the last few years, be aware of what they're doing, be aware of the interfaces that they provide, developing our kit to those interfaces, or even adopting the language of Cisco, adopting the language of Microsoft. So when I call you from a Polycom system and you're using Microsoft Link, let's say, I will click into Link mode. I will actually start speaking the Microsoft voice and video protocols, even though I'm normally configured to speak to the sort of open standards, okay? If I call you and you're on a Cisco system, I will click into a Cisco tip mode, as they call it, and speak the Cisco language, okay? What that also gives me is the ability to speak many languages at the same time. So I can be speaking Microsoft to you, I can be speaking TIP to you, and I can be speaking standards-based to all of the other people who might be in this conference. So with the right core technology, particularly in this area here of our portfolio, we have that translation capability on the network. So again, it doesn't matter what you're arriving at the meeting with, we will translate into the appropriate language, okay? A direction of travel for Polycom is in this area here. So within the future, we would hope you would see an ability to go from an application you use on a daily basis. What's the application you spend most time in at your desk? PC application.